Hi, Michael. Very nice that you found time. We have to talk about the future, the impact of global luxury, and I think you're a real expert for that. So thank you very much that you join this little conversation.
Pleasure,
Um,
Inga. Pleasure.
so the question is, to start, is luxury still appropriate? What do you think?
I think it's definitely appropriate. If luxury means freedom, if luxury means meeting people, if luxury means enjoying yourself, enjoying the company of others, it is so appropriate after these many, many months of solitude and restraint. Um, there have been some tough learnings over the last couple of months, and they have to stick. So if luxury means wastefulness, it's not appropriate. If luxury means no consideration for the environment and for other people, it is not appropriate. But we have a choice, and I believe we are heading in the right direction, and we should enjoy life to the fullest with the respect to everyone else.
When the war was over, Christian Dior created his new look, which was quite amazing at that time because he was using so much cloth for this A line. And he said, well, women in the world deserve to be beautiful again. Do you feel this moment is going in that direction? Because after all these months, people need some other entertainment than just talking about illness, being afraid.
I definitely see that, and we are a business that is operating globally. So we have, of course, the advantage to see what has happened in China, what is happening already in the US at the moment, where the vaccination program is more advanced. And in all these markets, what we do see is people want to go out, people want to dress up, luxury is a form of self-expression. And mankind is a social animal. So it is a deep felt need, not for everyone, but for some people. And I recently talked to a customer, and she went out with her husband to a steak restaurant nearby, and she dressed up. And the husband said, are you sure this is appropriate for this steak restaurant? And he said, that is definitely appropriate. We haven't been in a restaurant for months.
That's true. Is it, sometimes it seems that in Europe, we are talking a lot about this question of appropriatism and this luxury issue if we don't have other problems, things like that. Is this a very, even maybe German point of view, or is it that we should have less of everything and that we shouldn't be too arrogant towards environment, and that nobody needs as much as it seems we had been consuming before COVID? Or is this just a very German way of seeing luxury?
There are definitely cultural differences in how luxury is perceived and how is luxury defined. And so there's no question. And in the end, it's also a very individual decision. But therefore, I do believe it is also an expression of freedom to do something which has no hard need. And this can be enjoying wonderful food. This can be enjoying a hobby that no one needs, but that is part of freedom. What I do believe is that the level of understanding in terms of respect to the environment, respect to other people's needs, has been clearly heightened continuously. It's not just a pandemic, continuously. But I feel it would be not only a shame, but would actually be a mistake to take these very important learnings and to translate them into, we should stop to consume. We should stop to enjoy life. This is not, in my humble opinion, compatible with how humans operate. And the answer is we should combine it. And the answer is we can combine it, and we should think positively about it and not negatively.
Mm-hmm. We are probably, as Europeans, quite spoiled. We kind of had it all already. And there are a lot of nations, people, cultures who couldn't afford, who just didn't get the stuff. Maybe this explains why China is acting completely different. We are sitting kind of in a comfortable chair saying, oh, who needs another cashmere sweater, or who needs all this luxury anymore? Do you think it's like that, or is it just a moment of being skeptical?
I mean, this has been a crisis. So a crisis is always a time to review, to think, and to reflect. So it's absolutely fair that we are reflecting on the industry, the state of the industry. I think it is helpful to look to China because, I mean, people have come to richness, to middle class with parents or at least grandparents that died from hunger. I mean, this is grandparents died from hunger in the 60s and they have now enjoyed a lifestyle that they truly want to enjoy. And it is a bit of aloof to say, no, we should all consume less. But the interesting part about the Chinese, if you go to Shanghai, all taxis in Shanghai are already electrical. Big vehicles are already banned. So this is a country that is embracing technological progress, and I think that is fantastic because it has changed, I feel, has changed in Europe. For many, many years, technological progress was seen as the problem. And we start to see it as part of the solution. Technology allows us to be more considerate to the environment. And therefore, I think no one has the right to tell others how to live and how to behave unless and until certain frontiers are respected. But we are a technology company, and I do see technology as the key to combining things that for many, many years seemed not to combine. And I'm part of this luxury industry, but I feel we have the right to say that luxury has also some very positive elements. I mean, in many aspects, it is a sustainable industry. We are very considerate. We are creating products that are long lasting, of the highest material qualities. We are not perfect. We are far from perfect. We have many, many areas to improve, but most of the luxury products are produced by family businesses in northern Italy of highest quality. So we have also some elements we can be quite proud of.
It's kind of circular economy even, right? Because you give it to your daughters or to another friend, or you give it to secondhand, because this is probably the idea of luxury, that we nowadays call everything luxury, but I think if you and me are talking about luxury, we mean real stuff, real products that are from where it's made of, and not only sold for a lot of money, but just made in somewhere. And nowadays, I wonder if we really need to stress the word luxury so much, because luxury doesn't have to excuse, because in its core idea, it is sustainable. It's not inclusive probably, but it has a lot of design thinking behind. And I mean, I don't know if luxury ever be inclusive. Maybe we have to be just more honest. Nowadays, everybody seems to stress out what they are, that they are sustainable and all this, but maybe there is a limit to that. And if we talk about it in a more honest way, maybe it would be helpful.
I agree, and we should be honest. And I think, of course, the luxury industry is far from perfect, but in typical German saying, I believe our glass is half full and not half empty. And so we should embrace the need for change and the need for improvement. We should embrace it in a positive sense. Half full means we have still a lot to do, but half full is also, we have some positive things to talk about.
Mytheresa is a global seller. And what did you do last year? Did the clients change? Was there a development? How was it?
I mean, the lifestyles have been impacted. I mean, this was a crisis where the lives of individuals have changed. How you work, how you commute, how you enjoy your social life. So clearly it has changed how people consume at different times. I talked about it. I mean, in China, back to normal was much faster than in Europe and in the US. And so on the one hand, we saw that, of course, certain occasions didn't exist going out. So who needs dresses and blazers and dress shoes and high heels if you don't go out? So we did see a lot of cashmere, knitwear, but we now see it exactly the other way around. I mean, now that markets are opening, these are the categories with the highest growth. But this is more category consumption. I think there is a fundamental change, which comes back to what you just said. There is an appreciation for the savoir-faire, the material, the fabrication, where does the product come from? And interestingly enough, that does combine some elements of sustainable with one way of defining luxury. I mean, there's a simple definition of luxury, which means expensive, but the more complicated definition of luxury, it is where does the product come from and how many years and generation of skills have gone into manufacturing of it. And I think there's probably a bit less marketing than before the pandemic and a bit more, is this really worthwhile, the expenditure? But there is not a consumption restraint. On the contrary, I mean, people love to spend. Fully agree. We are not talking about the general population. We talk about a specific segment, a rich segment. So again, let's be open and transparent about it. But there is a trend in many markets about more classical luxury in the connotation of the word.
What do you think, by the way? Is it more sustainable to have local stores or to send packages through the world? I mean, there's this huge increasing number of things sent. I think because of all the COVID regulations, also not only in business, we're using so much material nowadays to bring stuff to people. What's your opinion to that?
I mean,
You're a digital seller.
Yeah, I mean, there's full transparency. I mean, e-commerce is creating a lot of carbon footprint. I mean, we don't have factories, but we ship around the world and products need to be transported. And planes are not electrical. Planes are using combustion engines. So absolutely full transparency. The comprehensive answer, of course, still sits in the details. I mean, you have, and we are doing this at the moment, we are calculating in detail the carbon footprint from what it takes to bring the merchandise to our warehouse and what it takes to ship the warehouse to the consumer. And that creates carbon footprint. Is this more detrimental than going to local stores? The answer is it depends. I mean, if you go with your car 40 kilometers to the boutique, and the boutique is not the only place you go to, but multiple boutiques, this is the answer. And we need to be transparent about it, and our consumers expect it. And we believe we have to do better on that. But the answer of whether the apple from the neighborhood is more ecological friendly than the apple from Chile, it is not as simple as it may sound in the beginning once you calculate all the details of ecological footprint.
Not everything is like it sounds. This is, I mean, regarding to the topic, Mrs. von der Leyen is directing the European Union, which is very interesting, this new Bauhaus idea, which is not, I mean, the Bauhaus was not about buildings, art and craft only. It was a movement. It was a society movement even. And it was about mastermind thinking. Is this something we can, which is very useful now?
I think the Bauhaus is, of course, you need to transcend the idea of the Bauhaus. The Bauhaus, the original Bauhaus was really deeply rooted in the 20s with all the political movements at that time. But I think what is interesting about the Bauhaus movement, as you rightly said, it was a combination of, it wasn't an ideology, there was a vision, there was a manifest with it, combining with mastery and skills and education. And I think that combination that is something we could and should transcend. There was a conviction about how to view the world. We can agree with that conviction or not, but they said just words is not enough. We need an education system. We need skills. We need mastery. And I think that combination I find inspiring, and how that transcends into the modern times. There may be smarter people than I, but I think that combination, I think, is something to look at and to copy potentially.
The last question, Michael, is, are you optimistic after this month and that we go to a good future?
I'm totally optimistic. I mean, this has been a horrific experience, but I have to quote Obama, it couldn't have happened at a better time. This pandemic 10 years ago would have killed so many people, would have devastated our industry. We were able to develop a vaccination in less than 12 months. It's an amazing technological progress. We were able to maintain industries via Zoom and Microsoft Teams, just to be very fair to all the providers. 10 years ago would not have been possible. So many industries would have stopped. So I'm so optimistic because it shows how much progression can help us. I mean, this would have killed millions more if it only happened 10 years ago. And so we have every reason to be optimistic about the future.
Good. Thank you very much for these insights, Michael.
Thank you for your time, Inga. Thank you.
Ciao.